It is April 30th, 2025 at 10:59 p.m. And I'm just letting you know that I'm still alive. Yeah, I've been off the last couple of days, mostly because you can tell by the sound of my voice. My allergies are kicking in, and it's been a pain in the butt. My nose has been runny for the last couple of days. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, but believe it or not, this is actually a lot better than it has been for the last couple of days. That's why there hasn't been any new Time About the Movies episodes, nor has there been any Time About the Reviewing Network Talks About, or over on the Reviewing Network Live. I haven't done any trailer reactions. I know Weapons had a trailer come out a couple of days ago that I was really looking forward to get into, but just want to let you know that I am feeling better, so hopefully by tomorrow I can get a new episode of Time About the Movies going. I can get the whole cycle going back up again. So if not then, surely before the end of the week is done. So this is just letting you know that I'm fine. Just got to get through these next couple of days with this nasally voice of mine and these allergies. And yeah, this is usually the worst time of the year for that. These next couple of weeks are usually the worst time for that, but I'm fine. I'm just letting you know that I haven't gone away. I've just been kind of just taking a break from the videos for a little bit, but that's not the only reason why I'm coming on this particular video that I'm doing right now. I'm coming on because in the last best and worst movies list I did for 1997, I made a big mistake by not including the real worst movie of 1997, and it's a film that if you saw my top 30 worst movies, you pretty much know exactly what that is, and that is, of course, Home Alone 3, which, yeah, when I made that list earlier that eventually led to that video, I completely did not put Home Alone 3 on the list, and I was surprised that I didn't, but I wanted to make up for it now, so before you get to the best and worst movies of 1998, here's the real worst movie of 1997, Home Alone 3.
$1 million for the microchip, Mr. Beaupre.
We will find it. Their mission is deadly.
Has to be on a plane. We are going to Chicago.
Their technology is state-of-the-art.
26 miners in the 14 houses we haven't checked.
Their strategy is unheard of.
We're gonna work houses in broad daylight.
It's the suburbs. Nobody's home during the day.
They've got the perfect plan.
That's the house. Tomorrow we hit.
He's got the chicken pox.
What?
And he's home alone.
Nobody's gonna do anything about this. I'll just have to do it myself.
I'll go in the front.
Heads up! Ouch. Bye. Surprise.
I'm coming down.
From John Hughes, the writer and producer of Home Alone.
See ya.
This Christmas, staying home will become an adventure. Again. Home Alone 3.
Wait till you see what I do next.
Written by John Hughes. Directed by Raja Gosnell.
Ah, yes, Home Alone 3. This is in my list of the worst movies I have ever seen. This is number 17 on the list of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I said in the past, I've loved the other Home Alone movies. The first one is definitely the best film. Home Alone 2, at least is trying to capture some of that same magic. It's not as good, but it's not terrible. And really, there's a lot of things that you could have done that was much more interesting for a third film with the original cast. You could have had a plot where, you know, Marv and Harry get out of prison again, and Kevin realizes they're out, and this time he convinces the rest of the family to help him defeat the burglars. Like, that would have been something that you could have easily done to give the series some new life to it. And I think they tried to do that in other sequels that came after this to not the best success. But then again, you didn't have the original cast there, and at least with that idea, you could have done something cool with it. But no, we have what I'd like to consider the awakening point of Raja Gosnell. The point when he realized his purpose as a director in life, because this is his first movie as a director after many years as an editor, working on the first two Home Alone movies, and more than likely, he was brought in to create a simple cash grab with no creativity or edge whatsoever, and Gosnell probably looked at this and said, wait, I can put zero effort into a movie and I can make money? I'm going to do this for the rest of my career, and lo and behold, Big Mama's House, Scooby-Doo 1 and 2, Yours, Mine, and Ours, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, The Smurfs 1 and 2. I mean, this dude clearly does not give a fuck about putting effort into any of his projects at all. And Home Alone 3 is where it all began, and don't get me wrong, Alex D. Linz, the kid is not a bad actor. He's actually gone on to do some pretty decent roles in films, including actually voicing Hey Arnold and Tarzan, young Tarzan in the Disney movie. And to his credit, he's not bad in this. He wasn't whiny or trying to be too cute like Jake Lloyd and Jingle All the Way was. But the kid was trying, and he didn't do too bad of a job. But again, he's no Macaulay Culkin. The bad guys in this movie are the worst. They really went all the way out to find the closest lookalike to the actors they wanted to get. Like, you could tell that Bill Preet was supposed to be Oliver Platt. Jernigan was supposed to be David Schwimmer. Unger was clearly supposed to be Adam Carolla. The other one that actually wasn't looking like he was trying to copy another actor was Alice, but I don't know. Maybe you could have probably put Linda Fiorentino in that mix in there. But besides that, these are supposed to be these terrorists, and were they terrorists? I mean, basically, yeah, they were terrorists, but they're intimidated by this kid, a kid with chickenpox, no less. And guess what the worst part is? These are 4 professionally trained terrorists, and yet they get their asses handed to them so easily by this kid with chickenpox. Like, you could believe that Kevin could beat up Marvin Harry, because those 2 robbers, they weren't the smartest people out there, although Harry does claim to be that way, but these 4, they were clearly shown to be much smarter than Marvin and Harry, but they still got their ass beaten by this defenseless kid who was sick. And on top of that, these traps get way more elaborated and over the top than they needed to be. Like, you could take absurdity in a movie like this just fine, but even I have my breaking point with this. There are traps in this movie that are so elaborate, you really have to wonder to yourself, how the hell does this kid that has chickenpox have the will and ability to do this? There's no way this kid would clearly have A, enough energy, B, enough time, and 2, the muscle strength to actually do this, to pull the feats off that he does in this. Like, you see him moving trampolines over to pools, you see him with a bookcase full of books that he put up there, you see him making sure he has the ability to put 2 Mega Block bins full of super glue and a piece of wood and a mousetrap. It's just like, come on, man. Like that's just getting ridiculous on its own part. It's just like... And that leads me to the biggest problem with the movie overall, and the reason why I hate it so much. Everybody in this movie is stupid. Not just the bad guys, not just the parents, not just the brother and sisters, the FBI and the police too. Everybody in this movie is a fucking dumbass. You know, Alex does the smart thing in this movie by calling the police to report these terrorists breaking into these houses, and yet these terrorists manage to sneak their way out of the neighbors' houses like they are the Flash or Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I swear, they must be ninjas in their off time. But after the first day, no cop ever goes, you know, maybe we should bring one of our officers out on the street here to keep an eye on the neighborhood. And just like, nope, just assume it's a prank by the kid with chickenpox because, oh, he's the run of the family, he's the youngest, he's the troublemaker, even though there's clearly nothing that shows beforehand why he's that way. Like, and then the second time it happens, he calls the police again, and once again, they do it. The bad guys get away so easily. Nobody sees them. No cameras around whatsoever. Clearly, this is a town that does not believe in being safe, apparently. And you know what happens? The cops don't believe him again. Even his asshole siblings, one of them being a young Scarlett Johansson, starts giving him shit. And it's just like, I'm sorry, but you cannot do that. Just because this kid is gravely sick, which, by the way, nice parenting by leaving the damn kid with chickenpox home on its own. That does not mean he's full of it when he's clearly seeing a robber going to somebody's house. But no, we have to do this because clearly if we don't, we wouldn't have a damn movie, and then who really wants to see a Home Alone sequel without the original cast or the original comedy or John Hughes at his finest? Because yes, this was when John Hughes was at the shit end of his career, and without the will to insult the audience's intelligence like this. Oh right, everybody's thinking that. Like Kevin was not the nice kid. Like, he could be a little bit of a dick, even though his family around him were being dickish to him. At the same time, though, like, when they realize that he's home alone and he's away from them, they still at least care about him. Like, in this movie, it just makes no sense at all. And don't even get me started on the animals they try to bring in as comic relief in here, like the back-talking pair that only quotes pop culture references. Like, literally, every single thing he says is a pop culture reference. And a mouse, because honestly, that would take me hours to tell you how bad that is, and we need to wrap this up. Oh, and there's a dog that does a little stupid move with where the cops come in, and there's a dog there, and the cops are just like, freeze, and the dog's just like, it's like with his paw up in the air. It's just like, get out of here with that. Like, Home Alone 3 is just an insult to everything that made the first 2 movies so special. They clearly had no intentions on making a good third movie for this series. It's made on the sole purpose to continue the franchise until this horse is long dead and willing to be beaten alive, which they have done. And, you know, the last couple of movies have been really, really bad, especially 4 and 5, but I'm one of the few people that says Home Sweet Home Alone is actually not that bad. It's not a great movie, but I will gladly take Home Sweet Home Alone after anything from 3, 4, or 5. Like, Home Alone 3 is just everything that's wrong with everything. It's everything that's wrong with kids' movies today. It's just lazy. The best word to describe that movie, laziness. It's uninventive, uninspired. It's a pale imitation of its predecessors. It's The Hangover Part 3 and Taken 3 of kids' movies. It's just so awful. I hate this movie so much. It's in my top 20 of the worst movies I've ever seen, and for good reason. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, on to the feature presentation. Of course, Dark City has Rufus Sewell playing an amnesiac man who, finding himself suspected of murder, attempts to discover his true identity, clear his name while on the run from the police and a mysterious group known as the Strangers. You see the cast there that includes William Hurt, Kiefer Sutherland, Jennifer Connelly, Ian Richardson. David S. Goyer was one of the writers on this film as well. It's an original film, too. I thought this was based off of previous material, but I'm looking on here, and there's nothing on here about this being based off of anything. This is an original concept film, which I did not realize until much later on down the road. But yeah, you can see why this movie became the cult classic that it did. I mean, it was a positive reviewed film when it came out, but it was a box office bomb when it came out. It just barely crossed the $27 million budget. But you know they spent more on the marketing and all that. But it also doesn't help that this kind of has sort of a similar traction to what happened with Blade Runner, because you basically have the studio basically telling Proyas to put in an explanatory voiceover in the beginning, and he agreed to it. And when the director's cut came out, they took it out, and it works a lot better than without the narration there. Kind of like what happened with Blade Runner. It works a lot better when you don't have the narration there. And the movie is just a phenomenal film to look at. Visually, it's one of the most gorgeous-looking films that you can see. Dark and grisly, but it has its own visual, vibrant flair to it that just makes it stand out over other movies of its type. Like, it's very hard to create original science fiction, and the fact that Alex Proyas made a great original sci-fi film with this concept is really, really something to it's really something amazing to look at. I mean, and a great cast overall: William Hurt, Rufus Sewell, Kiefer Sutherland, Jennifer Connelly looking as hot as she's ever been, and just a great story, great villains overall. The Strangers are very good, are very cool characters to see. The cinematography is top notch. The music overall is very good. It's just a masterpiece, man. It's a great underrated sci-fi film that has slowly but surely garnered its following over the years, and needless to say, you could definitely see why. It's a great film. It just works on so many levels. It's just a truly triumphant film that just really didn't get the right attention when it came out, but luckily it has had that lasting longevity to it ever since it's come out. It's become the cult classic that it is, and it is considered one of the best sci-fi movies of the last 25 years, and you could definitely see why. It lives up to all the hype and then some. It's a classic film. I can't recommend it enough. Go see Dark City if you haven't seen it already. You will not be disappointed by it.
Universal Pictures invites you to come to Las Vegas, where the people are friendly.
You can't park your car here.
It's not a reasonable place to park.
You're on a sidewalk. It's a sidewalk.
The rooms are comfortable, and the atmosphere is out of this world. Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Get out of here! Rated R. Starts Friday, May 22nd in theaters everywhere.
Of course, this is not the first time that Universal would do a movie that involves Hunter S. Thompson. Of course, Bill Murray's Where the Buffalo Roam in 1980 was also met with mixed reception, but Bill Murray got a lot of good reviews for it, and he is really the best thing about that movie. The movie itself, not quite as good, but Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a goddamn classic. I mean, this is a great movie. You have Johnny Depp's Hunter S. Thompson, and Benicio del Toro as Raul Duke and Dr. Gonzo, respectively. And the film details the duo's journey through Las Vegas as the initial journalistic intentions devolve into an exploration of the city under the influence of psychoactive substances. I mean, you see it in the trailer there, and it gets crazier and crazier from there. But then again, it is Terry Gilliam, and if you've seen Terry Gilliam's work, you know that this is exactly what you get from Terry Gilliam from this work with Monty Python, as well as stuff like Brazil, and these other great movies that he's done, 12 Monkeys, The Fisher King, Baron Munchausen. I mean, it's as good of a Terry Gilliam film as you can get. I don't know why, I'm just keep slipping out of the chair for some reason, but yeah, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a goddamn classic, and it is indeed a goddamn classic. Johnny Depp, pitch perfect as Hunter S. Thompson. Actually, no, I take that back. That's not Johnny Depp as Hunter S. Thompson. But Johnny Depp is the one that's playing Raul Duke, and Benicio del Toro is the one that's playing Dr. Gonzo. So I apologize for that. My head's all over the place right now. But no, Johnny Depp as Raul Duke is really well done. It is a really good performance from him. It's probably my second favorite performance of his behind Ed Wood. I mean, this is such a great role for him. And him and Benicio del Toro, the connection between them is just so good. And Johnny Depp just has so many quotable lines in there. It's hard not to talk in the same dialect that he's using here. Like, it's like the scenes where when he goes to the hotel and the patron is there. It's just like, what's the score here? And she just turns into a lizard. It's just like, woo! like that's just good fun stuff there. And not only do you have great performances from Depp and del Toro, you have Tobey Maguire, Christina Ricci, Ellen Barkin, Gary Busey, Cameron Diaz, Katherine Hellman, Michael Jeter, Craig Bierko, Lyle Lovett, Flea, a lot of cameos in here, Debbie Reynolds, Christopher Maloney, Harry Dean Stanton, Penn Jillette, even Hunter S. Thompson himself shows up in this movie. Like, the cast of this movie is just top notch, and the movie is just so much fun. It's so hilarious. It's so well done. It's so over the top. I don't know what else to say about it. I love this movie to many ends. It's a great movie. If you have not seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, seek this movie out. You will not be disappointed by it. And Mr. Thompson, I apologize for getting your characters wrong here, but your book inspired a really damn good movie, and I appreciated that.
Move your men off the beach! 8 men will risk their lives.
It's a tough assignment. That's why you got it.
To save one.
I don't know anything about Ryan, but if finding him, if that earns me the right to get back to my wife, well, then that's my mission.
Tom Hanks, Edward Burns, Tom Sizemore, Matt Damon, in a film by Steven Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan. Starts this Thursday at cinemas everywhere.
So Saving Private Ryan is, of course, set in Normandy in World War II. It's during the invasion of Normandy in World War II. And it's notable for its graphic portrayal of war, the intensity of the opening 27 minutes alone, which includes the assault on Omaha Beach. It follows Tom Hanks, who plays United States Army Ranger Captain John Miller, and a squad that includes Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, Vin Diesel, Adam Goldberg, and Jeremy Davies as they search for a paratrooper played by Matt Damon, who is the last surviving brother of 4 servicemen. And the idea of having Steven Spielberg direct a war film set in World War II just screams out so many great possibilities to it. It's a director with the imagination and amazing storytelling abilities like Spielberg meeting up with one of the biggest events in world history. There's just two ideas that come together nicely, and the movie takes full advantage of that. The opening scene on Omaha Beach alone is just one of the most spectacularly filmed sequences of any war film ever. It's not being afraid to show the horrors of war and the battles that these soldiers had to fight. But then other than that, there's not really too much going on afterwards. It's mostly dialogue-filled scenes, and it's all throughout the rest of the movie, but at the same time, they are nicely done dialogue-filled scenes. I'm not one that's going to be like, I want more action in this. I want Michael Bay to come in here and just have explosions all over the place. No, I'm not going to be that person. But I thought but the dialogue is very good. It's very well-written dialogue, and it's Steven Spielberg, man. I mean, what do you expect from a guy with his large assortment of talents to him? And once again, you can't go wrong with having a guy like Tom Hanks involved in your project. And the cast alone, Matt Damon's really good in here. The rest of the cast is amazing in here. There's no real complaints I have about this movie. This is definitely one of Steven Spielberg's best movies. There is a lot to admire about Saving Private Ryan. It should have won Best Picture in 1998. I will still stand by that till the day I die. It's a beautifully shot, well-written, well-acted war film. It's not afraid to show the trials and tribulations of war and the battles the soldiers face themselves with. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it already, just get off your ass and go see it already. I mean, you should have seen it by this point, so.
On October 2nd, DreamWorks Pictures invites you. We Antz are running the show. We're the lords of the earth. To jump in.
Want to dance?
Absolutely. Get down.
Ouch.
Pig out.
Let's see. There's some kind of force field.
Because heroes don't come any smaller.
I've never been able to lift more than 10 times my own body weight.
And adventure doesn't get any bigger than Antz. Rated PG. Starts Friday, October 2nd.
So Antz most notably came out around the same time A Bug's Life did, but during its production, there was a public feud between DreamWorks co-founder Jeffrey Katzenberg and Steve Jobs and John Lasseter of Pixar, who were working at Disney. And of course, Jeffrey Katzenberg came from Disney, was fired a couple years ago, and the production of the similar films A Bug's Life and this, which was released a month later, that only worsened when Disney refused to avoid competition with DreamWorks' intended first animated release, The Prince of Egypt. So the film came out in October, did pretty well critically and financially, and some might say that it's actually the better movie compared to A Bug's Life, which I like Bug's Life, but to me, this is probably the best one of the two. You have Woody Allen playing an ant named Z, a worker ant who dreams of winning the heart of the beautiful Princess Bala, played by Sharon Stone. So he convinces his soldier ant buddy, played by Sylvester Stallone, to switch places with him. One of the most significant of workers, Z may turn out to be the biggest little hero of them all. In addition to them, you have Gene Hackman, Christopher Walken, Anne Bancroft, Jennifer Lopez, Danny Glover. Not only is this a strong first film from a rookie animation studio in DreamWorks, but it had a better story to tell. But if it had a better story to tell, I should say, than A Bug's Life did. The animation still holds up after all these years. The voice acting overall is really good. The characters are nicely done. There are very few cliches in here, although the liar revealed aspect is here too much. It's done a little bit more cleverly than what A Bug's Life did a couple months later. Me personally, I think this comes off a much better movie overall than A Bug's Life did. Even though I really like A Bug's Life, and we'll definitely delve into that when we get to November. So let's
Take away again.
Whoa, this Thanksgiving, Babe is leaving the farm
You can't leave. He can't leave.
to help his friends.
Whatever the pig says, goes.
Beg your pardon?
On November 25th, the pig is taking charge. The adventure's taking off. And the whole city's going to town.
And the dog. Witness to insanity.
Babe, Pig in the City. Rated PG. Starts Wednesday, November 25th at theaters everywhere.
So what happens in this movie is that it follows after the events of the first film. After Babe's success in the sheep herding contest, the farmer Arthur Hoggett, once again played by James Cromwell, turns down all offers to make money with the pig's talents. But when he gets hurt severely in the well, his wife has to take up farming, and his wife is once again played by Miriam Margolyes. And the farmer basically kind of disappears after the first 10-15 minutes, which is a little bit disappointing, but at least the film that follows actually is really good. Let me continue with the story. She does her best but cannot meet the bank's requirements, which results in the necessity of getting back to Babe. Soon, Esme Hoggett is on a plane sailing for the city, and there Babe unwillingly causes deep trouble. He has to stay with Mrs. Hoggett in the hotel, only that accepts the pets, friendly neighbors and officials who catch all animals from the hotel, cats, dogs, chimpanzees, many others. Babe decides to help his new friends and get unexpected help from Ferdinand, who flew all the way to the city. And this is a film that has a very interesting history behind it. It's I think the first big mistake was opening this on Thanksgiving weekend, in a spot where you have a Rugrats movie, which would become the first non-Disney animated film to make $100 million. Opening the same weekend was the wider release of Disney Pixar's A Bug's Life. You have so many other family films coming out around this time period. This movie was really going to not make a lot of money compared to the first film. And despite that, I mean, the film wasn't a big hit. It was a big bomb. It had a $90 million budget. It made only $70 million of it back. But despite that, the film did very well with critics. In fact, Gene Siskel, I think, actually named it one of his best movies of 1998, if not the best film of 1998. And when you watch the movie is really, really damn good. Like, I would honestly say it's one of the best sequels of all time. I mean, this one is directed by George Miller, who only wrote the first film. But of course, George Miller, I don't think I need to tell you all of his work that he's done. I mean, the Mad Max movies, Twilight Zone the movie, The Witches of Eastwick, Lorenzo's Oil, 40,000 Years of Dreaming, 3,000 Years of Longing, the Mad Max Fury Road, the Happy Feet movies. I mean, this guy does not make a lot of bad movies. And when he puts his name behind this, when he puts his directorial efforts behind this film, he elevates this to a whole nother level. I'm amazed at how much this movie has held up so well in the year since its release. Like, when I saw it for the first time, I thought it was alright. I thought it was a decent kids film, but as time has gone on, I've really grown to appreciate how mature this movie is, how well done the story is. This is a really damn good movie. It's a film that really had a lot of high expectations coming off of the first film. For some people, it didn't deliver on those promises at first, but I think once they realized that, and actually the movie actually once the movie actually came out and people actually really got a chance to take a look at it, it really is something very special. It really is a very good film. Visually, it's gorgeous to look at. Story-wise, it has so many elements to it. Like, it's not just one linear story, unlike the first film. It takes you to, like, these different places all throughout the film. The enchantment factor is there, the originality is there, the humor is there, it's very fun. It reminds me a lot of the Paddington movies, honestly. Like, the Paddington films are very much kind of like the Bane movies in a way that they are very... They know exactly... They're made specifically for kids and families, but anybody who has a good heart can actually look at these movies and find a lot to really admire about the Paddington films. I can say the same thing about the Bane movies, and this movie really was something that really took me by surprise when I first saw it. In the time that I've seen it, because like I said, the first time I saw it, I thought it was just okay, but as time has gone on, I've really grown to appreciate it more and more, and I think it's a very good sequel. It's probably one of the most underrated sequels you'll probably ever see. It's a film that really, even if you hadn't seen the original Babe, you can pretty much catch up to everything that's going on right away and find a lot to really admire about the film. It's a really enjoyable film. I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it already.
About you, Mulan. You took your father's armor, ran away from home, impersonated a soldier, endangered the lives of thousands of men, and destroyed my palace. But soon the world will know the great things you have done. The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter.
So this is a story that you pretty much already know about if you've seen this movie already. It takes place during the Han Dynasty, where you have Fa Mulan, played by Ming-Na Wen, a daughter of this aged warrior who impersonates a man to take her father's place during a general conscription to counter a Hun invasion. And this was actually one of the 3 films that were produced primarily at the Disney Studios in Florida instead of in Hollywood at the Disney MGM Studios when they still had the animation studio there. And honestly, Mulan, I think, was just what Disney needed up to that point. The last couple movies they had done had become a little bit too generic, stuff like Pocahontas, Hercules. Hunchback of Notre Dame was a nice step in the right direction, but this one was a definite welcoming change of pace for the studio, mostly because of what they were able to do with the main character. And this year, they don't really go for the typical princess route with Mulan. They give her the personality of a typical male Disney action hero, but give it to a female. And you have to give them credit for doing so in the way that they did here, paying homage to the legend that they were basing this off. And Ming-Na is, I think, perfectly casted as Mulan. She's got this great voice that can allow her to not just play a woman, but also the male she's trying to come off as. And you have a really good cast involved here as well. B.D. Wong, of course, Eddie Murphy as Mushu, Harvey Fierstein, Geddy Watanabe, James Hong, Pat Morita, George Takei. This is a really good, strong cast that just works as well as it should. The music is also very well done here. The score is done by Jerry Goldsmith, the late Jerry Goldsmith, and he does a great job giving the music for this, the epicness that it needs, and the songs are really good too. Of course, everyone knows that I'll Make a Man Out of You is probably the best song featured in the entire movie. And on the soundtrack of that subject, the animation overall is just downright incredible. That mountain action sequence, it's one of the best animated sequences Disney had done up to that point. It's just one of the many animated highlights this film has to offer. Now, there are a couple flaws to the movie. The story structure itself is a little too generic, and you know good and damn well they got to do the lie reveal cliche, and it's just as annoying here as it usually ends up being with movies using this cliche format. But probably the biggest flaw of the film is the main villain, who's voiced by Miguel Ferrero. The dude was generic and boring as hell. I mean, it's a shame because this guy is a really damn good actor. He's got the perfect voice to be the bad guy here. But this is just the most generic, most bland, most poorly drawn bad guy Disney's ever done. I mean, even his facial structure is off big time. They switched the way the eyes look on him just to make him more of a threat, to completely make him his generic plan, too. You guessed it, take over the world, and of course that seems fine, but it's because of how intimidating he looks. I mean, I guess that's how he's supposed to get away with that, but when in actuality, when you look at him, he just looks weird, and his motivations are plans are bland and forgettable, much like the villain itself. I mean, I think they did this concept. I think DreamWorks did this concept a little bit better with now I can't remember his name from Kung Fu Panda, the villain in that one, Ian McShane's character. Now it's gonna bug me. Tai Lung. If Tai Lung had had a design similar to the villain in this movie, I think this movie would have been I think he would have been a lot better of a villain, but as he is, like, despite the fact he's got a great voice actor behind him, it's just a bland villain. I mean, besides that, Mulan, I think, is definitely a bigger stepping stone for Disney by making this strong female character who doesn't just sit around to be the damsel in distress and actually becomes a badass of a hero, someone like Aladdin or Hercules or any of the leading male heroes in the Disney universe. I mean, had the story had a little bit more twists and turns and the villain been a little bit better, this is probably would have been up there with Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King as one of their stronger movies, but it doesn't quite get there. But it is mostly enjoyable with some noticeable flaws there, but it's worth a watch. And really, if you saw Mulan 2 or the live-action remake that came after this, I've grown to have a little bit more of an appreciation towards it, honestly, more than I would have had before. But yeah, not a perfect movie overall, but I still think it's good enough to actually to really recommend it. The original Mulan.
I'm home. There's a place where the people are friendly.
How about some marshmallow rice squares?
Those are swell. The days are sunny.
High 72, low 72, not a cloud in the sky.
And life is perfect. It's a nice place to visit.
Is that your meatloaf? It might be. It might be.
But would you really want to live there?
What are you doing?
Nice sport. I love it.
We're in Pleasantville? No! We're like stuck in Nerdville.
We're supposed to be in school.
We're supposed to be in color?
Hello, Mary Sue.
Who's that?
I didn't think you'd want to come here until we could pin for a little while.
You can pin me anytime you want to. Or maybe I should just pin you.
No.
What goes on in Good Lover's Lane? Sex. What sex?
You don't understand. You're messing with the whole universe.
Open your eyes.
Something is happening to our town.
Something changes.
Spreading all over the place.
Open your mind and discover what's
That's outside of Pleasantville. Some places where the road keeps going.
Nothing is as simple as black and white.
Look at my face.
It'll go away.
I don't want it to go away.
From the co-creator of Big and Dave.
This behavior must stop at once.
You can't stop something that's inside you.
Pleasantville.
What are we gonna do, Bob? Well, we're safe for now. Thank goodness we're in a bowling alley.
Thank God for the bowling alleys, man. Pleasantville. If you have not seen this movie, this is kind of one of those you have to see this movie type of film. I mean, this is a film that is just... It's a great movie. You basically have Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon as these 1990s teenagers who wind up getting trapped inside of a 1950s TV show set in a small Midwestern town, and their residents there are perfect in every way. And then they introduce their version of how they live their life in the 90s, and it's kind of mixing in together, and it creates a very entertaining and engaging film. It kind of reminds me of... There's so many different similarities you can make to this movie. The Wizard of Oz is a perfect example in terms of the visuals. A little bit of the Truman Show in there. I completely forgot what I was going to say. A little bit of a mix of Stay Tuned, as well as a little bit of a mix of Cool World. Like, a lot of different elements coming together here, and it makes for a really entertaining movie. It's a very thought-provoking film. From a visual perspective, it's amazing to look at. See, black and white and color brought together with this technology that they had back then. And I like how once everybody starts turning into color and everybody starts to get more of an emphasis on the overall... Once these two main characters come into play and they try to bring their ideas of their world into this world, things begin to change. Like fire exists in this world now. Sex actually exists in this world. Rain and weather actually exist in this world. And it creates all these different dilemmas. And it creates a very intriguing and very entertaining storyline. You have a lot of great actors in here. Jeff Daniels, Joan Allen, William H. Macy, J.T. Walsh, Don Knotts, Paul Walker, Marley Shelton, Jane Casimiro. Just a phenomenal cast in here. A great story and a great direction by Gary Ross, who gave us Big and Dave. This is a fantastic film. I love going back to this movie every couple of years. It's just a film that I just love watching. It's a film that's so visually pleasing to look at. It's a film that's so much fun to watch, so much engaging to watch. It's a film that really was kind of ahead of its time because it was a critical hit when it came out, but it bombed the box office when it came out back then. Only made back $49 million worldwide despite a $60 million budget, but I think people have definitely come around to this movie, as they should have. I like the ideas that they have in here. There's a lot of ideas in here that really stand the test of time, even by today's standards, and it's a great movie, man. I really, really love this movie. It's a film that if you haven't seen it already, you really, really need to see this movie. I mean, it's a terrific film. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen Pleasantville, see it. You are doing yourself a major disservice by not doing so. So that's Pleasantville.
Meaning a rubber. Your first time being around here? Doing great.
Stop it, hand
They were made for each other.
Sure, easy to talk to.
But sometimes your career
Wear one of these.
I don't ski. Can kill a relationship.
Turn around and hit your hands up there! Hey, put the holes in your car!
George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez, Ving Rhames, and Albert Brooks.
Be surprised what you can get and ask for it the right way.
Out of sight. This film is not yet rated. Starts June 26th.
There's a lot of interesting little history in between what goes on in this movie and what goes on afterwards. First of all, this is directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Scott Frank, and adapted from Elmore Leonard's book of the same name, which you're going to notice from some cameos in this particular film. You got George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is a U.S. Marshal, Karen Sisco, and George Clooney is a bank robber. When they meet, and they meet as she's trying to bring him in, and they eventually fall for each other, and it leads to a lot of complications in between the two of them and their jobs and what they're trying to do. But not only that, but you have Ving Rhames, Don Cheadle, Dennis Farina, Nancy Allen, Steve Zahn, Catherine Keener, Albert Brooks. Michael Keaton briefly plays his role from Jackie Brown in this movie, as does Samuel L. Jackson, who has a cameo in here. But not only that, of course, this led to a spin-off series for Karen Sisco starring Carla Gugino, which was actually really good. But unfortunately, it didn't last it only lasted one season, but it was actually a pretty decent show, and she would actually later reprise that role on an episode of Justified, and since Justified was based off a No More Leonard novel as well, and speaking of that, Paul Calderon, who plays Raymond Cruz in this movie, reprises that role in the recently aired miniseries Justified City Primeval. So there's a lot of interesting different universes coming together in this all starting with this film. This is just a very fun, stylish movie. I love Steven Soderbergh's work, and you know, George Clooney, how can you go wrong with him? Jennifer Lopez works very well here. I mean, looking sexy as all hell in this movie. I mean, the trailers for this movie literally have a scene where they're just showing you her taking her clothes off. I mean, well, George Clooney too, so we can appeal to both the men and the women. So, but they work off each other very well here. The comedy is very good. The writing overall is top notch. The acting overall is great. It's just a fun, stylized movie that just, I go back to it on a number of different occasions. I have a good time watching this movie every single time. I think it's one of Steven Soderbergh's best movies. And I like a lot of his movies, but this is one of my favorites, the ones I always go back to every once in a while. It's a great film, really well done, great visuals, great comedy, great action. I can't recommend enough. Out of Sight is a terrific film. Seek it out if you haven't seen it already. You will not be disappointed by it. And see if you can find Karen Sisco, too, the TV series. I will tell you, it's a very good show that sadly did not get the appreciation that it deserves. It was canceled before its time. I'd say definitely check that show out if you can find it somewhere. You will not be disappointed by that either. So that's Out of Sight. Oh, and Justified City Primeval. Not like I need to tell you to watch those shows, because most of you probably have already had. But if you're not, seek those shows out as well.
Child.
Truman, that's off limits!
What? What's over there?
They created a lie.
Cue the song.
They control a life.
I'm Truman Baby.
I'm not allowed to talk to you.
And they called it
I've been your best friend since we were 7 years old, Truman.
Last thing I'd ever do.
Is lie to you.
entertainment.
Now, going close. I think I'm mixed up in something. Everybody seems to be in on it.
He's not a performer. He's a prisoner. Look at what you've done to him.
Don't tell me what's happening, I'll report you!
It's the movie Newsweek calls the #1 film of the summer.
He's gone.
One of the all-time great films.
Give me some lightning.
An incredible movie.
You can't let him die in front of a live audience. He was born in front of a live audience.
Jim Carrey is a revelation. It's the movie of the decade. The Truman Show, rated PG. June 5th everywhere.
I mean, we could really be quick on this one, because honestly, what else is there to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already? It's a film that predates the reality TV world that we live in right now. I mean, this is a film that basically showed everybody that, hey, Jim Carrey isn't just this funny comedian. He can be a really damn good actor, and this is easily one of his strongest performances, and it shows his range as an actor, and he nails the role so well here. And I mean, I don't think anybody else could really play this role. I mean, they looked at some guys like, I think Robin Williams was one of the early people they wanted to be in this. I think they were going to cast him, but then Peter Weir, the director of this, cast Carrey after seeing him in Ace Ventura, seeing that his performance in that film reminded him of Charlie Chaplin. And like I said, it was the film that was used to show everybody that, hey, this guy is not just is not only a really funny comedian, but he can be a really damn good actor too. And this was probably the best film he ever made, and it's a shame that he never got the proper respect he deserved for it. Like, he didn't get an Academy Award nomination for this, but Ed Harris did. The film got nominated for Best Director and also for Best Picture. But how can you not look at this performance that Jim Carrey gives in this movie and not think about giving him an Academy Award nomination for this? And it just goes to show you that the Academy Awards, like, they don't want to give great performances like this one the proper respect they deserve. Like, they'd be more than happy to nominate Jim Carrey for a film that's a typical Oscar baitish type film, but in here, where he's actually trying his best here and actually proving he can be very successful here, like you would think that he would have had a better chance of getting an Oscar nomination here, but nope, didn't do it. So, but regardless of that, he is very good in the film. Everybody else in the film is really good as well. You have Laura Linney playing a very good role here as his wife, his TV wife, I should say. Ed Harris playing the creator, Christoph, which is interesting because Dennis Hopper was originally cast in the role, but he actually left filming while they were doing it over creative differences, and he was actually a last-minute replacement. So it would have been very interesting to see if Dennis Hopper would have given a really great performance that would have given him an Oscar nomination as well, but it's tough to say about in that front. But Noah Emmerich is very good here, and Natasha McElhenney playing a role in here is very good. You have Holland Taylor playing Truman's mother. Peter Krause is in here from 6 Feet Under. Philip Baker Hall. Harry Shearer is the newscaster. Paul Giamatti is one of the control room directors. I mean, there's a strong cast in this movie, and it's very interesting what they could have done with this film. The whole idea of having cameras everywhere, like everywhere in this world, and they were actually going to go one step further. I actually heard a story that they were actually going to put cameras inside the theater while people were watching the movie to create like this ultimate effect of basically that we're all being watched, but the technology just wasn't there at the time. And even then, I don't know if it really would have worked if they had the technology to do it now. It's tough to say what really would have been the overall impact if they had actually gone through with that plan. But it would have been something very interesting to see, even if it didn't work out in the end. And the movie just overall is visually gorgeous to look at. The last scenes of the movie where Truman finally realizes what he's basically come to the realization of, that this whole world around him is fake, and he comes to the wall where it's supposed to be where the sky is, and you see the steps there. Just some great visuals that still holds up after all these years, and the performance that Carey gives once he has that sudden realization that everything that he's ever known has been completely fake. Like, it's a great performance. It's greatly shot. It's a wonderful movie. Really, I don't know if I could say anything more about this film that hasn't already been said already. The Truman Show is just a fantastic film. If you have not seen it, please go check it out. They just re-released it on 4K in time for the 25th anniversary, I should say. I'm still trying to look for it because I want to see this. I want to get a Blu-ray version of this film. But if you haven't seen this movie, definitely go check it out. It's worth it. I don't think I need to tell you to see it already, because you pretty much the people who have seen this movie will probably tell you the exact same thing. Go check this movie out. That's right, we're not even giving you a trailer or a TV spot. I just need to show you that title and show that music, and that's pretty much all you need to know about how wonderful The Big Lebowski is. And if you really want me to fill some time here, I can give you some quotes for this movie, because this is one of the most quotable movies ever made. Where's the fucking money, shithead? It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look as your head goes into the toilet. Over the line! Market zero! This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. I can go on and on if you want to, but I know my terrible impressions will do nothing to convince you to watch this movie, which you should watch this movie. And since I'm going to be talking about this movie whenever we get to the Reviewing Network Talks About, because this is one of my all-time favorite movies, it's number 13 actually on my list of my favorite movies of all time, I'll just run through it real quickly. You got Jeff Bridges starring as Jeff Lebowski, who's an unemployed Los Angeles slacker and avid bowler. After a case of mistaken identity, he's introduced to this millionaire who's also named Jeffrey Lebowski, and when the millionaire Lebowski's trophy wife is later kidnapped, he commissions the dude to deliver the ransom to secure his release, and the plan goes awry when the dude's friend, Walter, played by John Goodman, schemes to keep the full ransom. You also have Steve Buscemi, Philip Seymour Hoffman, David Huddleston, Julianne Moore, Tara Reid, John Turturro, as well as the stranger, played by Sam Elliott. And this is one of those movies it's one of those hard-to-believe stories. The Big Lebowski was not a big success critically or financially when the film came out, but as the years went on, it has become it's become a strongly praised movie. The critical praise gets stronger and stronger over the years, and rightfully so, because it's one of the funniest movies ever made to a lot of people, and myself included. And I love Fargo. Fargo, I think, is the Coen brothers' masterpiece film, but this is the film that I watch over and over again. I mean, it's hard not to love this movie. It is so absurd. It is so weird. It has so many quotable lines to it. The dark comedy is perfect. The casting, top-notch. Jeff Bridges is amazing in this movie as Lebowski. John Goodman is great in this film. I just realized that this is the fourth John Goodman movie we've talked about in 1998. And the first two were terrible films, Fallen and Blues Brothers 2000. Then slowly but surely he turned it around with stuff like The Borrowers and now this. He's fantastic in the film. You have a great cast overall that I mentioned. The great trademarks that we love to watch in Coen brothers movies. It's very well written. The comedy is perfected with both Bridges and Goodman, leading to some of the film's funniest moments and the most quotable lines of the film. This is a quotable as all hell movie, and I want to go deep into this more, but I'm going to be talking about this when we do the Reviewing Network Talks About, and we eventually get to this film, because I'm doing, if you don't know what I'm doing with that, the first few weeks, the first few months of that show, I'm going to be doing my top 30 favorite movies in video form. So each week it will be a different movie that's ranked in my top 30 favorite films, and this one we'll definitely get into when we eventually delve into that. But All I can say here, man, is that The Big Lebowski is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a hilarious comedy, a brilliant cast overall. I don't think I need to tell anybody to go check this movie out, because if you have not seen it already, you really need to go see this film. You are not going to be disappointed by it by any means necessary. The Big Lebowski, a phenomenal film. What more do I have to say about it? See this film. So
on December 11th,
We have the planet, they have the technology. That makes us partners.
the future of the galaxy, for participating in the outright theft of a world and the survival of a race.
Every living thing in this system will be dead or dying.
Depend on an act
There will be no cover-up.
of rebellion.
Lock and load.
Star Trek Insurrection, rated PG. Join the rebellion, December 11th.
So the third film in the Star Trek series featuring the Next Generation team, you basically have the crew of the Enterprise rebel against Starfleet after they discover a conspiracy with a species known as the Sona to steal the peaceful Baku's planet from its rejuvenating properties. And the characters that, in addition to the cast from the show, we also have F. Murray Abraham and Donna Murphy joining the cast. This was a film that was very much one of those films that was dealing with a lot of production problems behind the scenes. They actually rewrote the script several times, and they added in a subplot to have a romantic interest for Picard in this, and it was actually further revised for the ending after test screenings came out. And, after First Contact was such a big hit, you'd think Paramount would let Jonathan Frakes, who directed this movie, just like he did with First Contact, do whatever he wants when he came to direct the next movie, and they didn't. And because of that, this falls onto an absurdly low level that even The Final Frontier couldn't handle. You heard me right. This is indeed the worst Star Trek movie. It is surprisingly even worse than The Final Frontier. And that's saying a lot, because Final Frontier was a bad movie, but this just is a waste on so many levels. So where do you even begin with this film? Let's start off with the story. The crew of the Enterprise learn of the Federation's plot against the inhabitants of a unique planet, and Captain Picard begins an open rebellion. And that's it. That's all that happens. First of all, they make it seem like this is a big deal and has never happened before in any other Star Trek adventure, but there have been episodes of The Next Generation where they've had the same plot and do it at the same time, trying to bring in elements from the stories of going on in Deep Space Nine, which at the time was in its last season, and they even bring in the Dominion storyline. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a plot concept in Deep Space Nine where you have a conflict between the forces of the Dominion, the Cardassian Union, and later the Breen Confederacy against the Alpha Quadrant Alliance of the United Federation of Planets, Klingon Empire, and later the Romulan Star Empire. And at the time this movie was coming out, the Dominion was not only beating the Federation, but they were downright destroying them with 800 billion people's lives on the line. Insurrection only brings up the Dominion War twice, and that's it. So what's the point of even mentioning it in this film if you're not even going to have a purpose for it? It also doesn't help that you're rooting for the bad guys' plan of moving 600 people, and that's the only thing about the bad guys you can say that's good, and we'll double down just a little bit, but even then, you don't even want the Baku to even be saved, because, my God, these people are so bland and forgettable. This planet is like a precursor to ASMR. Like, everybody talks in this monotone voice, and nobody raises their voices, nobody does anything. There's not one single person on this planet you give a crap about, especially Donna Murphy's character. This is a poorly written character. She's just there to be a love interest for Picard. There's no chemistry between her and Stewart at all. And they make the Baku try to seem like the Amish for the Star Trek universe, because they don't use technology, even though throughout the film they have a preference of technology that does not need electricity. So that's hypocrisy at its finest. And what's even worse about this movie is that it dumbs down its audience so much. Like, Picard, who came off as this badass in First Contact, this badass hero, has been basically lowered down to where he was in Generations. It's like they forced him and Murphy to be kind of the Edward and Bella of the Star Trek universe. And actually, in fact, you can make an argument that Stephanie Meyer may have had an uncredited screenwriting credit on here before she wrote Twilight, because it's that bad of a relationship in this. And to think that the thinking of this movie's dumbing the science down for its audience doesn't get more obvious in a scene where Murphy's character is able to slow down time, and Picard's basically asking her, how are you doing this? And she goes, no more questions. I'm sorry, what? You don't get a free pass by just saying no more questions. This is Star Trek, damn it. Give me some goddamn answers to why or how she's able to do this, because it's never explained whatsoever. This woman has no charisma or chemistry whatsoever. She is a waste in this movie. And speaking of people being wasted, F. Murray Abraham, my God. You have an Academy Award-winning actor in your movie as a bad guy. Use him. But no. He's only in this movie to make screams like a goddamn baby elephant and just to be bitter and evil for no reason. They waste Abraham in this movie. He's supposed to be the bad guy, and he does nothing of noteworthy but scream like he's trying to pass a kidney stone. That's how bad it is. Like, this is without a doubt the worst Star Trek movie. There's nothing about this movie that's worth it. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing engaging. There's nothing creative. There's nothing funny, interesting, thrilling. 100% nothing of value whatsoever. It's a waste of time, and it's completely pointless. It's a snorefest of a film, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves for coming off of First Contact, which is probably one of the best Star Trek movies ever, and then to do this. This is just, it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable on so many levels. And even though Nemesis was the film that kind of killed the Star Trek series as a film series for a little bit, this film did it first. We'll get to Nemesis eventually, but I'm telling you, it's a much better film than Insurrection is. So yeah, that's Star Trek Insurrection.
You spent last Saturday night at the Base Motel.
Something is wrong out there, and I have to know what.
I want to see you.
Mother, she just goes a little mad sometimes.
God, Mother!
Psycho, rated R. Starts Friday.
So this is controversial for several reasons, most notably because you're remaking one of the greatest horror movies of all time, one of the greatest movies of all time, period, from one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, Alfred Hitchcock. And it basically has the same premise. You have an embezzler arriving at an old motel run by a mysterious man named Norman Bates, and chaos ensues afterwards. But this is Gus Van Sant, who had just done Good Will Hunting the year before, which won Robin Williams an Academy Award. So he was kind of given a free pass to pretty much do whatever he wanted to do. And his idea for this was supposed to be a shot-for-shot retelling of the original film that most remakes, often copying Hitchcock's camera movies and editing, including the original script, which is pretty much carried over from here, and the same score by Bernard Herrmann is used, as well as some new songs, new arrangements by Danny Elfman and Steve Bartek. But then they decide to add in things that make you have to look at this and go, if you're going to do a shot-for-shot remake, you don't add anything new to this. Like, they introduced the idea of accounts for advances in technology since the original film, and to make the content more explicit. And the film's murder sequences are also intercut with surreal images, and it's just kind of like, what are you guys doing? It's just like, it just takes a movie that just seems like a bad idea at first, but you're going along with it because the talent that they have there could carry it through, and it's just as bad as you think it's going to be, and even worse at times. It's just like, don't say you're going to do a shot-for-shot remake if you're going to add in new shots that have nothing to do with what happened in the original film, and you want to add them just because it's part of modern technology, that modern filmmaking nowadays. It's like, just don't do that. I mean, it's a film that is just so unnecessary. It's one of the most unnecessary remakes of all time, and it just feels unnecessary on so many levels. Like, I'll give the movie credit, though. It's not overall terrible. There are a few elements that I didn't think were too bad. Like, I thought some of the acting overall was pretty good. I mean, I thought Vince Vaughn did a pretty good job as Norman Bates. I thought Anne Heche was pretty good playing the character played by Janet Leigh, Marion Crane. I thought Julianne Moore was very good here. Viggo Mortensen is okay. William H. Macy usually will turn in a good performance, but it doesn't really matter when you have a film that has really no purpose for existing, except it just needs to be made for a new generation. And the original film has held up so much better than most people would give it credit for, and it has shown in the years since this film's been released. This film has been largely forgotten, and nobody has really gone back and looked at it and said, well, it was a film that was just too ahead of its time. No, everybody who saw this movie back then can tell you nowadays that this movie sucked. This remake was not that good. And even despite the elements that I thought were okay, the film was just like, it just had no intentions on existing whatsoever. And not surprisingly, it crashed and burned at the box office hard. And also kind of killed Gus Van Sant's directorial career for a little bit. But he eventually found his way back, though. It wasn't like a big killer of his career. He returned a couple of years later with Finding Forrester. And then he did Milk a couple of years later, which Sean Penn got a lot of praise for. So it wasn't a complete loss of his career overall, but it was considered a major blot on what had been a pretty solid directorial career up to that point. I mean, this is a guy that gave us Drugstore Cowboy, My Own Private Idaho. Hell, I'd rather watch even Cowgirls Get the Blues again than watch this movie again. That's how bad this movie is. Just a terrible movie, just a waste of time. it's a mess. It's a mess of a movie on so many levels. So that's...
Join the sweetest group of people you'll ever want to meet. Save it for the show, okay?
I'm saying to wear my jacket. Not so you can sleep with my husband. Hey, Linda Blair, bring your head out one more time. I'm gonna give you a kiss.
Jerry Springer in Ringmaster. Rated R. Starts November 25th.
Yeah, this is clearly a studio looking at the success of Howard Stern's Private Parts and saying, we could do that with Jerry Springer. He basically stars as himself, the host of a raunchy, controversial, and popular Los Angeles talk show called Jerry, because heaven forbid if we actually called it the Jerry Springer Show, like it is in real life, because this has to be so different from that show. But it features everyday people with problems and frequently vent their problems on the air, and a new guest. A group of guests are flown into one show, including white trailer trash from Sarasota, Florida, one of them played by Jamie Presley, pre-My Name is Earl success. Connie, whose current husband has cheated on her with her nymphomatic teenage daughter. Angel, for which Connie has gotten revenge by having sex with Angel's fiance. And from Detroit, black trash Starletta, whose boyfriend Damone had slept with all of his girlfriends. Soon the paths of all these parties cross, which leads to more sex, arguments, physical violence, and Jerry sweating it out just another day. Now, here's the biggest problem with this film. It's trying way too hard to be like Private Parts. Private Parts did a good job of making Howard Stern a likable character based off of his autobiography. But this is clearly a studio that saw that success and said, we need to make a movie like that. And you have 3 different plots going on in here, and none of them really have nothing to work with here. There's nothing about any of these that are funny whatsoever. Jerry Springer is just playing Jerry Springer. There's really nothing about him that makes him unique. You don't like any one of these characters on the show, even though the intent is not to like them, but you want to at least relate to some of these people on here. But this film just has absolutely nothing to work with. And this director, Neil Abramson, this is I believe only his second film as a director, and he's not made anything. He's mostly known as a music video director. He's directed a lot of music videos, including stuff from Fleetwood Mac, Janet Jackson, Dwight Yoakam, Seal, UB40, Deborah Harry, Lyle Lovett, and we just saw a movie a couple weeks ago from Hype Williams, who's a really good music video director, and I've never seen that film, but I was really curious to see what he would do with a film like that. This is a director that clearly is just taking a film and just making it because the studio clearly wants their own version of Private Parts, except that Private Parts was actually smart and very funny. This movie is not. It is just basically, here's what's going on behind the scenes of the Jerry Springer Show. And that's it. Like, there's nothing about these characters that you like about them whatsoever. Like, why isn't Jerry Springer just playing Jerry Springer? He's got to play Jerry Fairley. Like, really? You just, like, if you're going to do this, make it about the actual Jerry Springer Show, because that's what people are going to see this movie for. Nobody's going to see this movie to know about these stories, about these other characters who are not supposed to like whatsoever. Like, what's the point of even going into this film? And more importantly, why would you release this movie on Thanksgiving weekend? Like, what brain cells tell you that this film deserves to be seen on Thanksgiving weekend? This is the type of film that should open in the dumping ground months of January or September, and maybe it'd do a little bit better. But on top of that, you don't spend $20 million on a movie like this. It only brought back $9 million, that $20 million budget. So that should pretty much tell you everything you need to know about this movie. This is a terrible, terrible movie. I've been wanting to see it for a number of years. I finally got a DVD of it a long time ago, and I've regretted watching it ever since. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's one of the most unfunniest, uninventive, uninspired comedies you will ever see. It's a watered-down version of Private Parts. It's not funny, and it just doesn't work. It's not funny. It's not creative. It just doesn't have anything there to make it worth your while. It's a waste of time. Just watch Private Parts. Private Parts is a much smarter, much funnier, much more clever movie. This is just garbage. This is just a garbage film. Plain and simple. So,
how far will one guy go?
Come on, Jake. We can make it.
To get home for Christmas. 3,000 miles.
I'm in the middle of nowhere being attacked by a killer buzzard.
12 states.
Put this on, act like my elf.
How the hell's that?
Happy.
One red suit.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Whatever.
For Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the holiday rush is on. Disney's I'll Be Home for Christmas. Now on video.
One of the worst comedies ever made. I talked about this a while ago when No Hard Feelings came out. That movie, which was a much better mix of that movie and Private Lessons, two of the worst comedies of all time. Somebody saw, the director of that probably saw, No Hard Feelings probably saw those movies and said, you know what, I can make a good movie out of this. I mean, this is something that can be made into a successful film. This film, not so much. The plot is literally a college student who must make it home from his campus in Los Angeles, California, to his family home in Larchmont, New York, in time for Christmas dinner in order to win his father's Porsche. That is literally the plot of the film. And first of all, let's make the Family Guy joke right now.
A 20-minute call to Larchmont? What do we know in Larchmont?
My sister-in-law.
Oh, yes, right. Carol. Yes, that's right. How is Carol?
Second of all, how did Jonathan Taylor Thomas go from being the young kid from Home Improvement and Man of the House to sounding like he's still going through puberty as a teenager? I mean, when Macaulay Culkin grew up right before our eyes, from Home Alone to Richie Rich, the transition from kid to teenager didn't look that bad. That took over 4 years. This is between 3 years. This is 3 years between this movie and Man of the House. And third, man, this trailer is so misleading. Jake wasn't even going to come home for Christmas, as he was trying to convince his girlfriend to go with him to Hawaii at first, before saying, no, screw that, I want to be home with my family for the holidays. So, yeah, nice job of trying to hide that, Disney. Also, Jake's dad had to convince him to come home because he was going to give him the Porsche if he was home by 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve for dinner. But hey, if you showed us that, then you wouldn't have to admit that Jake is kind of a freaking asshole. And he's a friggin' asshole. This whole movie is a friggin' asshole. And like I've said before, this was back when the Disney live-action movie department was really struggling to keep up and had very rare good films. And this film did not do itself any favors. You can't get invested in these characters whatsoever, especially Jake, because he's just such an arrogant douchebag in this movie all throughout the film. And I'm not saying and I know the saying is assholes finish first, but assholes can be likable too. And Jake is not a likable asshole. I mean, that's 5 times I've had to use the word asshole in this. I mean, this is getting rough. And it also doesn't help that everybody else is really unlikable, from his girlfriend, played by Jessica Biel, even down to the family, who are literally bribing him back home for a frickin' car. And all the characters in here are just obnoxious, they're stupid, they have no remorse to them at all whatsoever. And I get the feeling that that movie Christmas with the Cranks and Deck the Halls took a lot of how to make a Christmas movie so against the spirit and the meaning of the holiday season, because a lot of what I hate about those movies is in this film. It's one of the worst Christmas films ever made. It's one of the worst comedies ever made. It tries to make us feel sympathy for the most obnoxious and selfish idiots ever. The comedy's not funny. The movie looks cheap. It's just a mess of a film on so many levels. Like I said, it's one of the worst comedies ever made. Avoid it like the plague.
And welcome all to Yellowstone on Old Faithful's 1 billionth birthday. Something's gone wrong with America's most famous natural wonder. What they need are some experts. What they're getting are the Deedles.
Good thing I packed the jammers. Reporting for rangerly duty, sir.
Fine. Dandy. Terrific. Meet the Deedles. They've got their own style. These rookies are going to solve the park's big problem.
So they're going to bring in these 2 dumbasses to basically come in and save the Yellowstone Park. Yeah, I'm going to believe that. Would you be surprised to know that this film is by Deke Entertainment, which is, of course, a company that is known for not really putting a lot of effort story-wise into their materials. And it's their first live-action film with Disney, actually. And this is the prime example of a bad late 90s Disney live-action movie. We've talked about this several times, how Disney's live-action movies in the later half of the decade were not that great whatsoever. And in fact, most of them were downright terrible. With those one little gems you get every once in a while, but this is definitely not one of them. That's Paul Walker and Steve Van Wormer as the Deedles, basically the Disney's equivalent to Beavis and Butthead. I'm only guessing that they thought they were going to be the next Beavis and Butthead, and oh boy, were they wrong on that front. You have John Astin in here as well, Robert Englund, Dennis Hopper. Who was this movie really made for? Like, no kid is going to want to see this movie. No adults would want to see this movie. And teenagers are much smarter than we give them credit for. That you want to that you're going to try to sell this to them? I don't think so. No. It's just no. It's just just no. This whole movie, just absolutely no. This movie is downright terrible. It's a film that is so terrible, so bad. It gives Spice World a run for its money in terms of much better material than this movie here. Like, Spice World, you can actually get some good laughs at with how ridiculous it gets here. This, not so much. So,
Emma Peel, doctor, atomic scientist, poet.
How now, brown cow?
Meteorologist, physicist, marksman.
Are you paying attention?
John Steed, agent, member of secret elite intelligence arm. Traditional.
Good morning, Constable.
Stylish. Reserved. Lethal.
Dr. Peel, I presume.
Please, don't get up.
I wasn't going to. I was about to throw in the towel.
Extraordinary crimes against the people and the state must be avenged by agents extraordinary.
Time and place for everything.
Quite. If we still have an enemy.
Now is the winter of your discontent. The weather is no longer in God's hands, but in mine. Hundreds of millions will die. They'll drown, burn, freeze. And this is merely the beginning. Let our revels begin.
After tea.
Of course. John Steed.
You'll pay for that.
would you believe that this is Sean Connery's biggest regret he's probably ever made? And this is a guy that did The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But at least that film at least lets him leave with some dignity to it, even though he was the producer on that. This film, not so much. I mean, just wow. I mean, that trailer completely lies to you. It gives you the stylized looking trailer, and it makes it look like it's kind of an interesting concept, but not so much. And you can probably tell that this is not based off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is based off of the British TV series of the same name from the 1960s, where you have John Steed and Emma Peel, played here by Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman, going up against a mad scientist played by Sean Connery, who's bent on controlling the world's weather. And it would be, I mean, look at it this way, Britain. You were is Lost in Space wasn't the only TV show to get completely destroyed by a movie in the 1990s. You guys got the Avengers destroyed for you big time with this film, and oh boy, this is a mess. This is a mess on so many different levels, not just from a story writing level, not just from an acting level, but just an idea all the ideas this movie throws at you. Like you cannot take this film threatening whatsoever. Sean Connery, God bless him, he's trying the best he can, but even he can't hold this for too much. All the stupidity of this movie, is like, there's so many moments in here where he's asked to do some of the stupidest things ever. There's a scene in the movie where, I kid you not, he establishes a group of people, these highly, I can't remember what it was, but it was like a highly, like they go into this, it's like they go to this building where he owns, Wonderland Weather, and everyone's dressed up in teddy bear suits. How am I supposed to find that threatening? And Sean Connery, I have to think that Sean Connery looked at this and said, do we really want to go through with this, guys? And like it's just so stupid. And it's even stupider than that. There's this whole subplot about another Emma Peel who is clearly the person that is clearly a clone and used by somebody within this ministry, who's a backstabber, and you can kind of figure it out pretty quickly who the backstabber is, but doesn't really make a whole lot of sense there. They have these bees, these mechanical bees that I swear something out of John Peters when he was so desperate to get Superman to fight a mechanical spider. Like, his name's not attached to this, but you can just tell that his name his presence was there, and like, it just gets so stupid. It would be something if the cast was more than enough to carry it, but no. Like, Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman, all they do in this movie is just banter. They have no emotions, and they just have no personality to them whatsoever. I've never seen the original TV series, but I have to assume that the original John Steen and Emma Peel had at least some chemistry to them, had at least something to keep you invested in watching the show, because it ran for 8 seasons. Like this, I don't get why they have no emotions whatsoever. Like, they have no emotions throughout the course of the movie. You feel nothing for them whatsoever. I mean, they're trying their best, but how do you try your best when you have no emotions in this performance whatsoever? It gets so ridiculous. There's an invisible man in here because there was an invisible man that was in an episode of the show, which you could clearly tell that these people had no idea what the TV show was about and saw it, because if that's one of the things you have to throw in there because this invisible man was in a one-off episode of the show, it's just like, what else do I need to say about this movie? It's directed by the guy who did Christmas Vacation, too, because, I don't know, like, why not? I mean, this is the same guy that gave us such masterpieces as Diabolique, and yeah, like, this makes no sense whatsoever. Nothing about this movie makes any sense whatsoever. I've never seen the TV show, but let me tell you, if I was a fan of the TV show, I'd be pissed off at the way that they destroyed this TV show, because, my God, like, nothing happens in the movie. Nothing happens so much that literally there's nobody else in London. Like, how do you have nobody in London? London, England, is a prime travel destination, and there's nobody on the streets whatsoever. They didn't give a crap about this movie at all. Not at all. And you cannot convince me that they did. That there was some kind of idea that they did care, but no. There's no care given to this movie whatsoever. It tells you that this movie got pushed to the dumping ground month of August. Remember, August used to be a dumping ground month because, the summer movie season had just come to an end. Everyone's gone to see the big blockbusters, so whatever gets thrown here is just usually a piece of garbage back then. Nowadays, not the case. Nowadays, they actually do put their effort into putting stuff out every single week now, but back then, yeah, this was dead on arrival, and Warner Brothers knew it was bad. It was bad on so many levels. It just makes no sense. This whole movie is a disaster, and it's one of the worst movies you'll ever see. It's one of the worst things that you can easily sit through. Like, not even easily sit through. At 90 minutes, it's a struggle to sit through this garbage. That's how bad this movie is, that you can't sit there for an hour and a half to enjoy this movie, and you can't even do that. Like, just terrible movie. I'm just stretching time here, so what more do I need to say? Avengers, garbage movie. Just stick with the Marvel one. So,
This creature was believed to be one of the largest predators who ever lived on our planet.
I mean, what more do I need to say about that? That's where it all began. I mean, this had one of the biggest marketing campaigns, probably the biggest marketing campaign at that point in time. And, you know, you have Roland Emmerich coming off of Independence Day, which was one of the first movies that really kind of started this gigantic marketing campaign push, and they just pushed it to an incredible level with this film. Basically, Roland Emmerich said that you shouldn't use full-body images or headshots or Godzilla during the marketing, and it ended up being a smart move because every trailer that came out, they did a good job of hiding the monster, not showing it to you. You had to go see the movie to actually see the monster for yourself and see it in full scale, on a full-scale big screen. And you know what? Kudos to them. That was a big decision, and it paid off big time. Like, that trailer was so popular that theaters actually began to advertise the fact that this movie was playing, that Men in Black was playing this trailer in front of it. That's how big that is. I mean, we're talking about, this is just a few months before The Phantom Menace has had its trailer drop, and we'll eventually get to that one once we get to around November, because that's an interesting story in its own right. But not only that, you had Taco Bell putting in $20 million for the media push on this. I mean, of course, you have the trailers where the Chihuahua's trying to trap the monster in a box. You had toys, you had merchandise all over the place. I mean, Sony Pictures, I mean, they went all out for this. I mean, on New Year's Eve, 1997, this is the trailer that they put out in front, is right before the ball dropped.
Are we ready to say goodbye to 1997? Are you ready, New York City? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
(1998), the year of Godzilla.
Yeah, spoiler alert, 1998 really was not the year of Godzilla, which unfortunately brings me to, let's talk about the movie itself, because as much as I can say that the marketing campaign for this movie was brilliant, the marketing campaign for Independence Day was also brilliant as well, and look at what happened with that movie. That movie did not live up to the marketing, at least in my opinion it didn't. I mean, I know it made a ton of money, but yeah, at least that movie gave people something, gave people what they wanted to see, and maybe it didn't affect everybody, but most people liked Independence Day. Godzilla, not so much. This was a film that, I think the reason why Roland Emmerich said don't put the monster in front of anything is because that when you see the monster in the movie, it looks terrible. It looks horrible. The visual effects in this movie look terrible. And if the visual effects were the worst thing about this movie, you could kind of let it slide, but the visual effects are the least of the problems of this movie, because this film, the story makes no sense whatsoever. The characters are badly written. The characters are just poorly casted altogether. I mean, they spend more time on the human characters than Godzilla himself. Like the movie shouldn't be called Godzilla if Godzilla's only going to show up in a third of the movie. Like, on top of that, you have casting that just really does not make any sense in terms of the people that they got in here. Like, Matthew Broderick is a capable actor. He's been in blockbusters before. John Renault's a rising star. He's best known for his work with the Just Visiting films. He's also in Luc Besson's Professional. But then you bring in all these different TV actors. Like, you have Maria Patillo, who's been in a bunch of canceled 90s shows at the time. And then not one, not two, but three different actors from The Simpsons in here. Hank Azaria, Harry Shearer, and Nancy Cartwright, for no reason whatsoever. And then there's Vicki Lewis from News Radio, and then there's Kevin Dunn. You've seen him in a ton of stuff. You've seen him on Seinfeld. Like, why the sitcom actors? Like, why couldn't you get any bigger names for this movie? I mean, with Bryan Cranston and Godzilla, at least he proved that he was not a sitcom actor at that point. He had won Emmys for Breaking Bad. So he was more than an established actor when they put him in that movie. But here, it just doesn't make sense. And again, it would work fine if the characters were likable, but you do not like any of these characters whatsoever. You hate Matthew Broderick's character because he looks too much like the character from Jeff Goldblum's character from Independence Day and James Spader's character from Stargate. I mean, he has that same nerdy look to him like Spader and Goldblum had. You hate Audrey in this movie, Maria Patillo, because she's just trying to get back with Totopoulos to just further her career. I mean, she's not even hiding it. And, like, she comes off as a real bitch in this movie. Like, everybody comes off as just the most evil, hatred people on the planet in this movie, and it's just not worth it. Like, they can't even do references right. Like, Michael Lerner in here plays Mayor Ebert, and he has his assistant Gene, you know, Siskel and Ebert. And it's sad when Siskel and Ebert basically telling you, like, if you really wanted to make a good parody with us in this, why not have the monster just step on us? I mean, like, I don't understand why they would have him in there if they're not going to do that. I mean, that would make a whole lot more sense here, but it just gets stupider and stupider as the movie goes on. Like, the big climax with the Madison Square Garden and Godzilla apparently can lay over 200 eggs because, I mean, he reproduces asexually, I guess, just like the monster, just like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. I mean, we'll never explain why, and the CG effects in there look horrible. If you watch the 4K version of this does not hold up at all. Like, it looks horrible. This whole movie looks horrible, and even with the great marketing campaign, they get so lazy sometimes. Like, I took a little bit of footage from one of the teasers. I want you to listen to this, and then I'm going to show you something else that came after this that you might find the tune a little bit familiar, and you're going to see what it is after that. So take a look at this. Because when I think of Godzilla, I think Home Alone, and, like, they didn't even try to hide it. Like, they're literally not even trying to hide the fact that they are taking the first few notes of the Home Alone theme. I mean, it's like that clip Vanilla Ice did when he was talking about the differences between his song Ice Ice Baby and Under Pressure, and, like, it's like they implied that to this thinking here. Like, if we change the notes around here, it'll be completely different, and nope. People are still going to figure it out that that's the same notes as Home Alone, and yeah, but yeah, there's nothing good about this movie. I mean, it's a bad movie. Like, everybody in this movie is so stupid. Everybody in this movie is there's movie stupid and there's just stupid, and these people are just so stupid. Like, when Godzilla attacks New York City, there are people who don't even realize that he's there. Like, there's a scene where a guy's in a truck and he's listening to headphones. Like, I don't care how good your music is right now. If you don't feel the ground shaking, is this a giant monster is coming down the city? Like, something is wrong with you, man. Like you're either deaf or, as I try to move up here, but you're either deaf or you're just really obnoxious to what's going on here. And it happens way too many times with the people in this movie. Like if you hear a giant monster coming into the city, like, you should be able to hear the vibrations early on, but everybody in town, it's too little too late whenever they see it for the first time. It's just like the stupidity levels of this movie get so ridiculous. And you know what? Godzilla is not even the worst thing to destroy the city. The military is, because the military just keeps destroying buildings and just keeps destroying everything, and Godzilla's probably just sitting in the background going, wow, I don't even need to do anything. Keep it up, guys. Keep it up. Like, why am I even here? It's like, why are you even here? Like, like I said, Godzilla's design looks terrible, and the movements are just so ridiculously bad. It's a mess. It's a mess on so many levels. This was supposed to be a huge new cash grab for Sony. They had sequels planned for this. They had a TV series that came out that same year, which coincidentally, the TV show actually turned out to be a lot better than this movie ever turned out to be. I mean, it wasn't a great show compared to Men in Black, but at least it was something better than what this movie was trying to offer. But, yeah, it's just a disaster on so many levels. It's not even a good disaster. Like, this is one of those films that you look at it and you think with them, and this was the film that I think a lot of people, including myself, realized that, wow, Roland Emmerich is probably the biggest con artist ever, because he can put this huge, brilliant marketing campaign behind these movies, and he knows he has to make these movies he knows he has to make these movies sell, because when the finished product comes out, it always looks like it's a big disappointment. It's always a film that ends up looking as bad as it could be. I mean, he's done this throughout his entire career, even as of recently. I mean, Independence Day Resurgence had a decent marketing campaign to it, but who wants to see an Independence Day sequel 20 years later? And it's like, Like, he did this with The Day After Tomorrow, and The Day After Tomorrow is probably his best movie, in my opinion. Like, it's basically Independence Day again, but there's moments in there that I enjoy compared to a lot of his other movies. Like, 10,000 BC had a great marketing campaign. So did 2012. So did White House Down. So did Midway. And, like, after a while, it's just kind of like, you know, you could throw as much money as you can to the marketing campaign for a movie, but if your movie if you have to spend more money on the marketing to make your film look better, maybe you need to take a good look at yourself and realize that you're not as good as a filmmaker as you put yourself out to be. And I think a lot of people woke up with Godzilla and knew that if we're going to see another movie with this director, it's got to be something much better than the last couple of films he's done. And to his credit, the next movie he did was completely different from what he did before, and it turned out to be a lot better than I think most people would have thought, including myself. But we'll eventually get to that when we get to the Patreon 2000. But yeah, I know I've gone on a lot about this, but Godzilla, you know, it just didn't work. And luckily, Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures, when they did the MonsterVerse, they completely brought back what made Godzilla so special. They made a lot of great movies with Godzilla and then Godzilla, the 2014 one. King of the Monsters was a good one. Godzilla vs. Kong, we got a good Kong movie out of it. Like, the MonsterVerse so far has been honestly, the MonsterVerse has been more successful than the DC cinematic universe the DC universe. I mean, think about it. Like, Warner Brothers has that and the Conjuring universe, and they had the Lego movie universe for a while now. Like, you didn't need the DC universe, honestly, for Warner Bros. To have a successful multiverse. I mean, they had 3 right there. So, but that's a totally different subject altogether. But, yeah, Godzilla. What more can you say about it? It was one of the most overhyped movies of the year, and it just did not live up to the potential that they had. So,
searching, magnifying. Conclusion, violent, hostile.
Somewhere on the other side of the universe, billions of miles from Earth, one family, one pilot, and one stowaway are searching for the only thing that really matters in space. The way home.
Dad, where are we?
My regards to Oblivion.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger!
You would have thought maybe Titanic would have lost its #1 spot to a much better film, but instead, it lost to the flavor of the month. I mean, basically the flavor of the week, because Lost in Space, I mean, the marketing campaign behind this movie was pretty good. It's a high-budgeted film, cost $80 million. It's a film that you would probably see in the summertime, but they moved it up closer to April, so hopefully to get some traction before the summer movie season starts. And needless to say, it didn't do that good of a business that they wanted to. And really, if you saw the movie, you could definitely see why. Despite the good cast they have in here, William Hurt, Matt LeBlanc, Gary Oldman, Heather Graham, Mimi Rogers, a cool-looking ad campaign, to say the least. When you actually watch the film, it's really one of the corniest, most dullest things you'll ever see. Like, this show this movie makes the TV show look like a masterpiece by comparison. And the TV show was good, campy fun, but this is a mess on so many levels. I mean, the acting in here is really dull. William Hurt, a great actor, is just wasted in here. He's only got one note throughout the course of the movie. The story isn't really all that engaging or exciting. Gary Oldman as Dr. Smith should be really interesting, but they just make it stupider by the end of the movie with his master plan that he has at the end of the film. And then it gets even stupider than that when you add in this really bad-looking CGI effect named Blarp. Like, first of all, Blarp. This is a movie that's supposed to take itself seriously, and you have a character that's literally named Blarp. Like, I don't know what's worse, the name or the CG effect. It's kind of a tie between the two of them. But the CG looks absolutely horrible on him. And way to waste a good majority of the cast from the original show. I mean, you hear the robot's voice, which is the same guy who does the voice for the robot in the TV series. You have June Lockhart also in here in a cameo. There's also other people involved in here that were a part of the Lost in Space TV series. And this was the end result of it. This was the end result of it all. It just... Nothing happens of noteworthiness in this film whatsoever. This movie just has way too much stupidity going for it to make itself stand out on its own or even be somewhat entertaining. At least with the Star Trek films, they were able to work. The Star Trek films worked because they took inspiration from the show, but they made them their own things. This just feels like a really bad knockoff of what the Star Trek films eventually were supposed to be. Like the Star Trek films, it's like this. It's dumber than what the Star Trek films are. Basically, what I'm trying to say here, and like it's just one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. It's a movie that has so much potential to it, and just nothing is there. They have no idea what to do with this except cash in on the name because Lost in Space is a profitable name, and just do whatever we can to get people in butts in the seats, which that first weekend it worked, but after that, everyone kind of realized, oh wait, this is a steaming pile of garbage. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go back to Titanic again. Yeah, it's like I feel like a lot of people were like Bill Paxton in the movie. Are you ready to go back to Titanic? And they're just like, yes, let's get away from this, please. And yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that the movie is pretty bad. I mean, what do you expect from the writer of Batman and Robin and the director of Blown Away? I mean, better directors, better writers could have made this work. A better story could have made this work. Actually letting the cast act in this movie instead of just being stereotypes and having the most bland dialogue in the film. I'm sorry, William Hurt in this film, he's a mess in this film. Like, his big moment where he's supposed to say goodbye to his wife, and he goes like, I love you, wife, and he has just this look on his face like he doesn't give a crap whatsoever. Like, I just don't know, man. This is a bad movie. Avoid this one like the plague at all costs. It may have finally knocked off Titanic as the #1 film, but it really wasn't worth it in the end.
Life is short.
I love you.
Love is forever.
Will you marry me?
Gracie grew up to become a full-blown hottie. You're talking about my little girl, all right?
But you never know what the future holds. Until it hits.
It's a meteor shower.
This new one you're tracking. How big?
It's what we call a global killer. Nothing would survive, not even bacteria.
The United States government just asked us to save the world. Anybody want to say no?
Think we'll get a hazard pay out of it?
They'll do it. They've made a few requests, though. Such as? Oscar here's got some outstanding parking tickets. Max would like you to bring back 8-track tapes. Not sure if that's going to work. Yeah, one more thing. None of them want to pay taxes again. Ever.
United States astronauts train for years. You have 12 days.
Stick that in me, I'm going to stab you in the heart with it.
On July 1st.
Tell me you've never let anybody down before.
Never quit yet. How's that?
Earth's darkest day.
How you feeling? Good. Considering I've never been this scared in my entire life.
Will be man's finest hour.
I'm marrying you.
That's you are.
Bruce Willis. Billy Bob Thornton. Liv Tyler. Ben Affleck. Will Patton. Steve Buscemi.
Whoa! This is so much fun, it's freaky!
All the time in the world.
We have 18 minutes to zero barrier.
Is all they've got.
We all gotta die, right? I'm the guy who gets to do it saving the world.
Armageddon. A Jerry Bruckheimer Insurrection, directed by Michael Bay.
Surprised that it's a Michael Bay movie? I couldn't tell. But, you know, you have all these explosions, you have buildings crumbling down. I was almost nearly convinced that this wasn't a Michael Bay movie, but, yeah, I absolutely hate this movie. I hate this movie so much. It started what Michael Bay has now become notoriously known for, being this guy that gives you these lackluster characters, these really melodramatic, romantic subplots, and just does nothing but explosions, action sequences, and nothing spectacular whatsoever. Just the way it was created sounds so typical of a studio that's trying to copy somebody else's success. You have it's like the writer of Deep Impact, Bruce Joel Rubin, said that a production president at Disney actually took notes on everything the writer said during lunch about his script. And basically, Armageddon was created as a counter film at Disney, and they had 9 writers working on the film. 5 of them actually got credited. One of them was J.J. Abrams. Other ones included Robert Towne, Shane Salerno, Tony Gilroy, Jonathan Hensley. But basically, they just took an idea that was already done with Deep Impact, but that they decided to make one of their own, and they even made it clear that they tried to distance this from Deep Impact by 2 months before the movie came out. The president of the studio at the time expanded the budget to $3 million to include an additional special effects scene in which an asteroid impacts Paris, because clearly you needed that to distance yourself from Deep Impact and this movie. And I really don't need to tell you that Deep Impact was the much better movie than Armageddon was. Armageddon was it just wasn't a fun movie, despite the fact that it has these great people involved in it. I mean, Bruce Willis, Billy Bob Thornton, Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, Steve Buscemi, William Fichtner, Owen Wilson, Michael Clark Duncan, Peter Stormare, Keith David, Jason Isaacs. Just a strong cast overall in this movie. And there's just nothing about it. This whole idea of taking blue-collar people and sending them up into space to save the world is like, it'd be cool if it was actually something interesting or unique, but no, it really wasn't. Like, I don't understand it. I don't get what people saw in this movie. And like I said, this is the movie that introduced us to the Michael Bay that we infamously know him for nowadays. Like, he's the guy that emphasizes more basically throwing explosions anywhere he needs to put it in there. That's why we got some terrible movies in the process from him. A lackluster romantic plot that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And, but people bought it anyway because they like seeing these young actors in here. Like, let me put it this way. The Armageddon parody they did at the MTV Movie Awards that same year was more realistic than the romance in this movie, and that says a lot. But again, people bought into it. People bought into it so much that the Criterion Collection basically said, "Here, we'll give you a Criterion DVD of it." And I was just like, when I saw that, I was thinking, why Criterion did you put this in there? The Criterion Collection is supposed to be for art house films that markets what considers to be important classic and contemporary films and cinema at its finest. I don't know what the hell they saw in Armageddon to say that this is worthy of a Criterion Collection. Now, The Rock has also been on a Criterion release, but The Rock is a much better movie compared to this film. Like, I just don't get why they thought that Armageddon needed a Criterion Collection of all things. Like, there are so many other movies worthy of a Criterion release, but this one just gets it so easily just because it was a big hit. I mean, yeah, you can pretty much tell that I really do not like this movie. I really do not like this film. I think it's not that great of a film. It definitely pales in comparison to something like Deep Impact. The one thing that this movie has that is worthy in the long run is the Aerosmith song, "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing." It's a great song. It's one of the greatest movie songs of all time. It's the only one thing that's memorable about this movie, honestly, because really, I have not seen this movie in many, many years, nor do I really want to see it. I feel like it's on the same pathway as something like Independence Day. And basically, I just can't take this movie, man. Like, every time I see it, or try to watch it, I can't get through it. I mean, it's a boring movie. I don't like any of these characters whatsoever. It has everything that I hate about Michael Bay as a filmmaker in this movie. And it's the movie that started the Michael Bay that we all hate. Like, the Michael Bay that just annoys you with all these moves that he makes. And it's just not a good movie. I'm sorry, I don't see it as a good movie, and I can't believe that people bought into this because, oh, look at all the special effects. I want to see these big effects on the big screen. I want to see these effects that are not even in the movie to see what the difference is between this and Deep Impact. Deep Impact is a much better movie. Like, Deep Impact has a story. It has characters you want to relate to. It pulls no punches. It basically has the asteroid attacking the Earth and having it be... Is basically saying that you're not going to survive this if you're lucky. You're not going to survive this unless you're really, really lucky. But this is just like, we're going to go to destroy this asteroid and everything's going to be A-okay at the end. And that's not fun. That really is not I mean, it'd be fun if the story was actually pretty good or anything interesting, but it's just not. It's a movie that's just so bland. It's too much. There's way too much going on. It's too much of what we hate about Michael Bay, and everyone bought into it, and it became one of the big hits, and it became the biggest hit of the year, sadly, over much better movies that deserved more than that. But I've already gone on this long enough. Bottom line, I hate this movie. I've never seen it since the first time I watched it, and quite frankly, I really never want to watch it again because I really do not like this movie at all. Armageddon.
The critics are calling Blues Brothers 2000 pure entertainment. It will set your soul free.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bring the Blues Brothers show that touch the light.
With more music. And more laughs. Blues Brothers 2000 brings down the house. Dan Aykroyd, John Goodman, Blues Brothers 2000, rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Because clearly this is what we were asking for, a pointless sequel to one of the greatest comedies of all time, almost 20 years after the fact. I mean, this film clearly needed to be made, apparently, but let's talk about it. Elwood is back, once again played by Dan Aykroyd. He's now the lone Blues Brother because, of course, his brother Jake is now dead. He's finally released from prison, once again enlisted by Sister Mary Stigmata, played by Kathleen Freeman in this film. His latest crusade is to raise funds for a children's hospital, once again hitting the road to reunite the band and win the big prize at the New Orleans Battle of the Bands. Elwood's pursued by cross-country by the cops, led by Cable, who's played by Joe Morton, Curtis's son and Elwood's stepbrother, the Russian Mafia, a militia group, and on his new mission from God, Elwood enlists the help of a young orphan, and a strip club bartender played by John Goodman. I mean, honestly, if you've seen the Nostalgia Critics review of the Blues Brothers 2000, he perfectly summed it up. You've got no plot, you've got no comedy, you don't even have the original Blues Brothers. So why the hell does this even exist? By the way, his review can pretty much sum up why this doesn't need to exist. Just go watch that. But half the stuff they do in this movie is just baffling, and I mean baffling. This does not feel like a Blues Brothers movie whatsoever. I mean, to John Goodman's credit, I'll give him the credit that he had some pretty big shoes to fill as the other Blues Brother, of course, replacing John Belushi. He's a tough act to follow. And in performances with Dan Aykroyd, he works fine. But then again, they've done this for so many years. I mean, they've done this together so many years on stage. So yeah, it's going to make sense that these two work off each other very well here. But in this movie, there's absolutely no reason for some of the other decisions they decide to do with this. Like, in the 18 years since the original film, they just decided to do nothing with this at all. There's no excuse for this to be as bad as it is. You have Dan Aykroyd returning for this as both the star and the writer. John Landis is back as the director and writer. You have Paul Schaefer as the main composer for the film, and some pretty damn good music. That's the only saving grace of the film. And the decisions they decide to pull are just insane and out of place for a Blues Brothers film. Like, why is there a kid character that we have to follow in this movie? And for that matter, why is this PG-13? It's a sequel to an R-rated comedy that's PG-13, because clearly what kids need to see is the sequel to Blues Brothers. I mean, it's asinine. It's just asinine to think that. Like, this isn't RoboCop, where RoboCop could appeal to kids, even though the original RoboCop was rated R. Rambo doesn't need to appeal... is Rambo 2, because Rambo was also rated R at the beginning and then made PG-13. That had a cartoon series that came out in the 80s after that. Those make sense. This does not. I mean, the ending is so off, too. The original ending of has one of the greatest car chases in movie history, police chases ever brought to film, and this one's just ending on that's all, folks, like, without even giving us a real climax. Like, it literally just stops. It stops when you get to when you have this car chase that looks like it's going to be something similar to the original film, and then it's just like, well, that's life, folks. Roll the credits, see you later. It's just like, you know, say what you will about some of the other bad SNL movies that there are. Like, It's Pat is a bad movie, but they at least tried to put effort into that movie, and it didn't work. This, besides the soundtrack, has absolutely nothing to work with. Blues Brothers 2000 doesn't just go down in history as the second worst SNL movie ever made, but it's one of the worst sequels ever made. It's one of the worst comedies ever made. It's one of the worst movies ever made. It's that bad. There's no story. There's no reason to bring these characters back. There's no reason for this to have a kid as the main character. There was no reason for this to be a PG-13 sequel to an R-rated movie. There's no reason for this to exist. It's wasted potential gone down the tubes. John Landis and Dan Aykroyd just completely tarnished their reputations with this movie. There's nothing here. It's awful. Avoid this one like the plague. One of the worst movies ever made. One of the worst pieces of crap ever made.